Moving on, today, Health and Human Services Secretary Kathleen Sebelius faced off with a raucous House Energy and Commerce Committee. She took tough questions and criticisms from Republican lawmakers over the disastrous website problems and rollout of the Affordable Care Act, better known as Obamacare. Now, there are new allegations that the Obamacare website went live without proper tests to make sure it can secure users' personal information. The website troubles are just one of the many problems the Obama administration is dealing with during the implementation of its signature health reform law. Another focuses on the administration's credibility when it promised Americans that if they like their current health insurance plans, they can keep them. Well, it turns out a lot of Americans are getting dropped from their current plans as health insurance companies make changes to those plans to comply with new standards laid out in the Affordable Care Act. All of these troubles have people on the left and the right shaking their head. On the left, you have people arguing that this is why a single-payer system would be better. It doesn't have individual plans, it doesn't have a complex website, it just provides health care. And on the right, you have people who've always been skeptical of Obamacare saying, "I told you so." Now, earlier I spoke with one of those on the right, Congressman Leonard Lance of New Jersey, and I first asked him what he made of the last few weeks of the Obamacare rollout.
I believe that the website has been a debacle. That was the word used by the Secretary of Health and Human Services today, and I think it has to be repaired as quickly as possible.
Well, with regard to this website, this really wasn't the work of the government per se. It was the work of private contractors. And this is increasingly a problem throughout government. You could say it's a systemic problem of private contractors not fulfilling an obligation and bilking the government out of a lot of money. This happens in the Department of Defense to the tunes of billions of dollars. So why is there so much attention directed at Obamacare in this private contractor issue, but less attention directed to these other issues of private contractors?
I think we should examine all times we have contracts in the private sector. Sometimes they work and sometimes they do not. And of course, CMS was in control of the private contractors and a very poor job was done.
The president, as he was touting this law for the last few years, often said if you like your health insurance plan, you can keep it. We now have reports that a lot of Americans are losing their health insurance plans. Do you think the White House was misleading here?
Certainly the statement was inaccurate, and the Washington Post today gave it 4 Pinocchios, and I do not believe that that is an accurate statement, and I'm sorry the president made it.
More than half of all bankruptcies in America are a result of medical bankruptcies, people who get sick and can't afford their medical bills. And of those people, about 3/4 of them have health insurance, which suggests that there's a major problem with many current health insurance plans that are offered out there. And these insufficient health plans end up costing the owner their livelihood and taxpayers enormous amounts of money. And that's what the laws seem to be trying to go after. So when people lose these plans, it's because they don't meet the new requirements of what a health insurance plan should be. Should we be trying to protect these insufficient health care plans?
No, I think that there are some portions of the law that are good, but other portions of the law are bad. For example, I don't think there needs to be maternity coverage for a young man coming into the health care market, and so I think it depends on the situation.
Well, you said that, you agree with a lot of provisions of the law. Both parties agree on a number of Obamacare provisions, ones that protect people with pre-existing conditions, ones that get rid of lifetime caps, allow younger people to stay on their plans. And Republicans have said they want to keep these provisions in place. But my question is, how do you implement these favorable policies without the stuff that makes them economically possible, like the exchanges, like the individual mandate, and so on, the stuff that Republicans want to get rid of?
I believe you can do that in a variety of ways, and what I have suggested, and I've been a co-sponsor of purchase of policies across state lines, health savings accounts, and also tort reform, and there is no tort reform in the president's law.
Well, according to the Congressional Budget Office, tort reform would really affect 1/2 of 1% of total medical costs in the country. Is that a real legitimate solution?
I think it's part of a larger solution, and I think that we should make sure that the good portions of the law continue into effect. but I don't like the fact that many people are losing their policies and will have to pay more than they had anticipated.
Right, but they will get subsidies for that more, and they are paying for a much better plan. But I see the argument you're making, which leads to people saying, well, why not just get rid of healthcare.gov, get rid of individual health insurance plans, adopt a single-payer system, which is in use all around the world, and studies show offer less expensive care to more people with better health results. Seniors love Medicare, which is the form of single-payer system. Isn't it unfair that seniors can enjoy this, but young people can't?
I do not favor a single-payer system. I think that when the Democratic Party controlled both houses of Congress with President Obama in the White House, there were not the votes to pass a single-payer system. Traditionally, our health coverage is through our employment in this country, and I want to build on that system.
Okay, Congressman, one last question, which I think underpins this whole debate, and members weigh in on different sides of this issue. Do you think that health care should be a basic human right?
I certainly think we should move in the direction of making sure that everyone is covered, and that should be the goal toward which we should be moving. Unfortunately, not everybody is covered under the president's law because the Medicaid expansion is a matter of requiring states to do that has been ruled as unconstitutional by the Supreme Court. And so I think we have to work together in a bipartisan capacity to ensure as many Americans as possible.
But is a private health insurance system which profitizes health care, and you actually get more profits by denying health care, the system to bring about this universal health care for all Americans goal that you have?
I have a goal of achieving as much coverage as possible for as many Americans as possible, and I hope moving forward we can work in a bipartisan capacity.
Congressman Leonard Lance from New Jersey, thanks so much for coming on.